Lannon is standing there staring at this new statue of him, barely. Like, it's barely a statue of him. It looks nothing like him. As you are all standing there, you hear a voice from behind you. Lord Harold? And Lannon turns around and it's this squirrely little elven servant wringing both her hands, and she says, I have instructions to take you and your guests up to your quarters. Lannon's like, listen, I was here for 3 years. I know where my quarters are. It's okay. Like, he says, I can take them. And as he's about to head out, he stops and says, do you have a copy of the manifest of the meeting? And she says, I think so. And she starts rummaging around in her pockets and hands him a small folded up piece of paper. And he takes it. He's like, thanks. And then he turns and he heads out. He's like, this way, over here.
So Skyhold is, like, impressive, right?
Skyhold is beautiful. It looks, to the uninformed observer, it is decorated to look kind of like a chantry. Like, it has the stained glass windows. It's got the religious statues everywhere. The braziers burning everywhere. Braziers are a huge thing in Andrastian lore because Andraste was burned alive. So fire is like it's a big decorating staple of chantries. And yes, it is extremely beautiful.
Okay, I guess that I'm, like, staring around in awe. Like, it's pretty cool looking.
It is very beautiful. Like, no fooling. Like,
for, like, a human thing.
Even if you're not into Andrastian stuff, like, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And Lannon, as he's walking, like, closer toward the giant statue of himself, but sort of off to the left, and he says, so we kept a big tower full of guest quarters, visiting diplomats, that kind of thing. We can put you up. It's not a big deal. And he pushes through a doorway on the left side and guides you all up.
So do you believe in all this? And I just sort of gesture widely at everything.
It says, believe in what specifically?
The statues and the fire and...
Are you asking me if I'm Andrastian?
Yes.
No. I'm Dalish. You know I'm Dalish.
Yeah, but you're, the Herald.
Not through any choice of mine. Listen, all I did was go to that stupid conclave, and then I woke up a couple hours later with a weird glowing mark on my hand and no memory of the past 24 hours. And then people started calling me the Herald of Andraste, and I didn't have any fucking choice in it.
So you don't, think that maybe, just maybe...
It was Divine Justinia. The previous Divine before Liliana, she was the one people saw sending me out of the Fade. She was there too. It was not Andraste. I was not chosen by some holy force. I was just the unlucky dipshit who got himself caught in the middle of Corypheus' schemes. That's all. I am not the herald of anything.
So you've just been lying to people.
I didn't encourage it. I didn't have a fucking choice.
I punch him in the shoulder and I'm like, I'm joking.
He grumbles, it's, he knows you're joking, but it's like a sore spot. This ruined his life. So...
He's so whiny.
He finds it difficult to find the humor.
That's fair. Okay, I turn to Elliot and I'm like, what about you?
What about me?
Do you believe in all this? And I just sort of gesture at all of them.
I mean, not that statue, because it didn't look a thing like him, but, it's kind of...
I thought it was actually a very true depiction.
Len's like, I will push you down the stairs. I will push you down the stairs and watch you break your back.
I just thought that, it just looks so much like you.
You think I'm bluffing? I'm not bluffing!
Okay, anyways. So, Elian.
Yes, I am Andrastian.
So do you believe he's the Herald?
Oh my god.
No. I don't know. I mean, it's more complicated than all that, but if he says it wasn't, then I have to believe him.
He says, yeah, you'd think that, wouldn't you? If the person that people call the Herald of Andraste says, I'm not the Herald of Andraste, the people would just fucking believe it. But apparently that's not how it works. Apparently, you can just continue to believe that someone who says he's not the Herald of Andraste is the Herald of Andraste.
Listen, I'm a bard. I understand that half of this bullshit is made up. Everything is a story.
Isn't that blasphemy?
I'm whispering to Yariel too. I was like, you should really learn when to stop talking.
He's like, thin ice. Swear to God.
I put my hands up and mock surrender. And go down. I'm retreating behind Cassandra because I want to be between.
Yeah, because I'm tall. I just roll my eyes all right, whatever.
I'm turning back to Elliot. Do you think that your god needs to have all of these trappings? Where I come from, this would be considered pretty obscene.
And this is actually, I don't know if you know this already, Val, if you've done this in research, but the crux of Andrastian theory is that the Maker has abandoned his creations.
Mm.
Like, the whole reason you pray and you exalt the Maker is, like, begging for his forgiveness, because, long story short, a long time ago, the mages of the Tevinter Imperium, like, I think I told you this story, didn't I?
Yeah.
How the first blight, the origin of the first blight, the humans of the Tevinter Imperium used a huge blood sacrifice, tore open the Fade, and corrupted the Golden City. And that was like the first sin, and the Maker was so angry that he basically abandoned all of humanity because of it.
One strike and we're done.
Yeah, pretty
exactly.
much.
I mean, it was a bad.
It was a
story.
pretty big strike, yeah.
bad
Like,
strike.
you guys did what now?
It was pretty unacceptable, in fairness.
I mean, this isn't really chantry. It's it's different, but some of it, I mean, we just, I don't know. I'm not the most devout. I learned several of the canticles, and I do believe, but I don't know. We do all of this to try to earn his love back, to earn his forgiveness.
Lannon completely unprompted says, "By the way, this is like a shitty father figure that you're trying, like you're desperately trying to win the affection of a guy who like cast you out of what I don't know. I'm not fucking Andrastian. He threw you out of heaven or something. I don't remember the story. I'm just saying he sounds like a bad dad, like an abusive father that you're desperately trying to win the affection of. I probably shouldn't say this to an Andrastian."
I mean, I wouldn't say that to Liliana, for sure. Yeah, no.
I've already said it to Liliana. She knows where I stand on Andrastianism.
Yeah, I have to agree with the statue over there.
Oh my god, I will push you down the stairs.
So you can't, Cassandra's in front of me. So wait, this is all some sort of, like, apology? Like, you build those things, like, to, like, try to get someone's love back? Oh, that's messed up, man. I thought we were bad.
It's all about spreading his light, and if enough people believe, maybe he'll forgive us.
How long have you been asking for his forgiveness?
About 1,000 years.
That's a long time.
Thanks, Lannon.
I'm just saying, that was when the chantry was founded about 1,000 years ago. If it hasn't worked yet, good chance it's not going to work.
Yeah, it doesn't seem very likely at this point. Sorry, low chance of success. I turned to Cassandra. I'm like, what do you believe in?
I just, definitely, give you, a very blank stare, and I'm like, certainly not. Gestures to everything, all of that. As far as I'm concerned, this is just a pile of rock. A pretty pile of rock, but still not worth fighting over.
Agreed.
Lannon says, "I'll admit, I'm not very familiar with the spiritual beliefs of the Kyun. Do they have any spiritual beliefs?"
I definitely, sort of sigh. I'm like, not really. It's not really spiritual. It's more like, well, it is, but it isn't. Ugh.
No, this is really interesting.
My only exposure to the Kyun, let's just say I kind of stabbed them in the back, so it didn't go super well.
You did what?
Yeah, they offered me an alliance, but then they put a pretty hefty price tag on it. Long story short, I like Ironbolt more than I like the Kyun, so.
That's a pretty fair, assessment. That does sound like the Kyun, yes. Putting a hefty price tag on something. Everything has its place, and freedom is not allowed.
But no big temples like this? Well, it's not really a temple, but you know what I mean. It's like the Chantry temples.
That's a good question, Tessa. I don't think they really have temples, do they? I mean, I know that they have priests, but...
Most of the world classifies the Kyun as a religion, which, they don't believe in, spirituality such that it is, they believe in magic, but they don't really believe in a higher power. They don't really believe in any, sort of karma or any traditionally religious thing. But that said, the way they treat, Koslun's text is
that's
sort
true.
of religious in nature. They pray the cantos. They pray the cantos, they study the cantos like Andrastians study the Chant of Light.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's kind of a religion. It's definitely a philosophy.
That's more, what I was going for. I was like, I know that, officially they're like, it's a religion. I was like, I'd call it, more like a philosophy.
Yeah, everyone who's outside the Kyun thinks it's a religion. People inside the Kyun are more correctly call it a philosophy.
Right. Yeah, so I feel like I sort of study all of the statues and then, like, turn to Yariel. I'm like, well, it's not a religion, at least not like the Andrastian people. There is no chantry or belief in a maker or higher power, that sort of thing, but it is a philosophy, more like a guiding force for how we interact with the world.
But no worship of a specific god or anything like that.
Right. We don't have any creators or maker or any Fen'Harel, so to speak.
That's probably for the best. I clap you on the back. Historically speaking, those have never turned out well. And I trade like a look with Lannon.
Lannon's like, oh, Kian hasn't turned out super well either.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Like, agreed on that part.
Like, don't get me wrong, like, all world religions, so far as I've been able to tell, are kind of fucked up a little bit, but, like, if I had to pick between Andrastianism and the Kian, I'd rather live in the circle than live as a Cerebus. No offense, he says to Cassandra sort of belatedly.
I mean, that is fair, but at least your gods aren't the little incarnation of archdemons. We got that going for you.
He, like, finger guns, like, ha, life sucks. It's funny because our entire mythology is a lie.
I just, like, put a very, like arm hook around Yariel, and I'm like, you have to find a better coping mechanism.
Then what?
Than antagonizing Lannon, I don't think.
Oh, is that what? Yeah, that is actually.
I'm just saying, if you want to sleep with him again.
Finger guns!
So he sets you up. All of the guest wings in Skyhold, they've all been maintained, not used, but like dusted and cleaned and that kind of thing. So the rooms that you're set up in are very nice. They've got excellent views of Skyhold and the mountains, the Frostback Mountains. He sets Cassandra up in her own room. He sets Elian up in his own room, and then he looks at you, Sabrina. He's like, "Well, my room was always at the top of the tower, and if you want,
let's go there."
Oh, okay. Like, he was about to get super awkward about, like, do you want to, like, share my room? I'm like, oh, okay, never mind.
I'm starting to feel guilty about that thing, so Cassandra made me feel guilty, so.
Yeah, so the top of the tower is, there are 3 walls with views. 2 of the views are the gorgeous Frostback Mountain range, and then the one on the left side looks out over Skyhold, like the courtyard, and the drawbridge, that kind of thing. And he sits down at his old desk. It looks like he's almost memorized this gesture. Like, he walks up to the top of the stairs, he walks right across to his desk, and he sits down. And he unfolds the slip of paper that the servant gave him as he lets you, like, get acclimated. It's really nice. Like, it's a very nice room.
I think I'm just staring out at the mountains. Like, this is super cool.
It's a great view. No line.
I can't believe you gave this up. You should live here. Kirkwall's boring.
He says, I would have given almost anything to stop being here, to give up the inquisitorship. And I did. I did. I gave up my arm, and I gave up a huge chunk of my life, my family, and most of my culture. So, yeah.
I don't really know what to say to that. I just sort of stand there awkwardly. I'm gonna go look at the view again.
You can, like, sit down. He says, you don't just stand there like a weirdo.
Oh no, you misunderstand. He does have to stand there like a weirdo. Right?
I just sort of awkwardly shuffle over to the couch and sit down, very like stiff-backed. Like, I will sit, but I will not enjoy it.
So Lannon spends a little while in silence reading this manifest that the servant gave him, and he says, "Oh, Briala's here."
Briala?
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me, actually. He says, "Alright, so looking at this manifest, the way I see it, you've got 3 people, and you're going to want to relay this to Cassandra and Elian when you see them. You've got 3 key people that you're going to want to convince. There's Taran Fergus Kuzland. He's going to be here. He is one of the most powerful political figures in Ferelden, so you're going to need his support for whatever plan you come up with. The Empress, of course, will be in attendance, Empress Selene. She rules all of Orlais, as I'm sure you know. And yep, based on the servants that she's bringing, Briala will also be here. Briala might even be more vital to persuade than Empress Selene. Like, Empress Selene can make all the deals she wants, but Briala controls half of her staff. And if she wants to disrupt something, all she has to do is say the word.
Briala is the elf that they were trying to recruit, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Okay, that is absolutely correct.
If Briala's here, we can also get her opinion on the Helithen, too.
Lannon says she would be a good ally and a dangerous enemy, so you're gonna have to tread very carefully with her.
Is there anything we need to know?
He says, I mean, she's an elf from a city alienage. He hesitates, like, so keep this on the DL, but she and Empress Selene were lovers, for many years.
My eyebrows raise.
Before Selene purged the Halam Sharal alienage. Which, you don't need to roll for this. That's an act of genocide, Sabray. That is literally going into an alienage and killing elves because they are revolting or rising up against the human lords of whatever city they're in.
My eyebrows get higher, and she's still part of her staff?
Oh, yes. It's the most effective place for her to be. Like I said, she controls half of Selene's staff. Half of the royal staff in the Winter Palace does not answer to Selene. They answer to Briala.
Interesting. That sounds delicate. We're gonna need Elian.
Yeah, he would do a much better job with this than you.
Yeah, that's true. I just sort of nod.
Like, yeah, no offense taken. Absolutely.
Yeah, so you're not wrong. Are you saying I'm not good at talking to people, Lannon?
Yeah.
Fair. Okay, yeah. We should make sure that Elian and Cassandra are briefed about what's going on. Do we know, are they all here yet, or are we waiting for them to arrive?
They should be arriving later today. The evening, probably.
So we have some time to strategize.
Yep. And you really should think up that third option. It's the only strategy of Josephine's that I ever remembered. But it worked, too. It was a good strategy. It was just... Like, Josephine was a lot smarter than me.
Any chance we can call Josephine?
She's an Antiva.
God damn it.
Yeah, I know. Trust me.
I think we need to go back and meet with the team then.
He says, yeah, don't let me stop you. Make sure your brother is in the loop too, and Talgan as well. They'll need to know.
Yes.
And he says, call me if you need me. I am not a good diplomat. He says, I am not a good negotiator. I don't enjoy it. But I found that I am good at being a linchpin for people who are religious. You know, like, if you call over the Herald of Andraste, sometimes that's enough to kowtow them into silence or whatever. But in general, try to leave me out because I hate this, and I hate it here.
I don't like this either. Do you think maybe we could just hide up here together?
He says, I mean, it's tempting, but eventually someone's going to come looking for us, so.
I sigh heavily and head down to meet up with,
Bye!
Bye. So it looks like the most important people for the negotiations are arriving tonight. We've got Taryn Fergus, Kuzland, Empress Selene, and Briala. So we need to come up with and by we, I mean you, other people who are not me, need to come up with the plan. This is about as far out of my comfort zone as you get.
Ren, who's sitting cross-legged on the end of Talgan's bed, is like, what did he call it? A pullover?
Yeah, the third option, yeah, I think it was something like that, yeah, like a pullover. Or like pulling the wool over or something like that.
Yes. Come up with a third option and make them think make each party think they thought of it.
Yes, that's not my area of expertise. I turn to Elian.
Could we do an out-of-character discussion real quick on some of the things that we might have thought up?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good.
That is what I encourage, in fact.
We kind of talked about it, Val and I, a little bit.
Oh,
Yeah.
good.
I'd love to hear what you came up with.
Basically, like, I remember Cass was, like, I was telling Val that, like, Cass's stance is, like, still, it's a hunk of rock. It's very pretty, but also, like, who cares? But also, at the same time, there's, like, okay, you want it to be a holy site, or you want it to be a historical monument. Why not, like, porque no dos? Like, why not both of them?
Well, the answer to that is because neither of them want to concede to the other.
Exactly,
Right.
which is what we were, like, talking about. I was like, they don't want to agree to it. I was like, but...
Okay, so we were talking, you'd suggested like a library.
Yeah, the library, like, the center of knowledge.
And so I had, I brought up something about, the Inquisition brought people from all cultures and walks of life together to fight for a common cause, and that this place should honor that history. That it should be a repository for knowledge for all peoples of Thedas, not just either of the two nations.
But yeah, you said something about like putting a chant or like a chapel or something.
There could be
though, I
like a
think.
chapel for pilgrims and a memorial, but it would be like secondary, not the main focus.
Yeah. We didn't get as far as, like, how do we get them, A, to agree to it, and B, make it think it was their idea.
Right.
Oh, well, I will say Skyhold, there is a library already extant within it. I do like the idea of it being, like, not even so much like a library, but maybe like a university.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's good. The Fereldens are kind of like they're like the rubes in the situation. Like they're like the country folk.
They are extremely country compared to Orlais, yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because remember, Ferelden is a backwater nothing.
So you could definitely, that sounds like it'd be not easy, but like it's like that's an angle we could approach with the Orlesians is like, oh, you'd really stick it to the like illiterate Fereldens.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Like, I mean, it's not like they can read, right?
The only really big university system that exists in Thedas, apart from like obviously Tevinter has an amazing system of universities in the circles, but in the south of Thedas, the only really strong university system is the University of Orlais.
So the question really is, how do you convince the Fereldens that they want a library?
Like, if you wanted to take them away from, like, because Fereldens are religious. Like, they are Andrastian, but Orlais is religious.
Yeah, with a capital R, yeah.
They are religious in Orlais. So, like, maybe you could be like, let's take it even further away from, like, a pilgrimage site. Like, make it a university. Like, stuff that definitely happened, not just this religious nothing.
I actually like this a lot. I think it's a good idea. I think if we just need to make sure we're, like, talking to the right people and, like, playing it from the opposite side. I'll probably end up talking to Briala just because I need to talk to her about the Helithen anyways.
Yeah.
So. And also something elven solidarity.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Something elves, yeah, exactly.
Yep. So it'll probably be what I tackle anyways.
Okay, so let's see. So we're doing a university. We're suggesting a university. The Orlesian angle is that it's a way to kind of stick it to the idiotic, look at those...
And it would pretty much have to be run by the University of Orlais, because there's no one else who knows how to run a university.
Yeah.
And yeah, stick it to those illiterate backwater Fereldens.
Yep. And what did we say the argument was that we were going to make with Fergus? Oh, it's anti-religious. Like, it's, like, super insanely not religious.
Forget about religion. Like, we're gonna talk about, like, real shit here. Like, things that actually happen, not like some fuddy-duddy maker. Like, who is that even?
And Briala, what are you going to do for Briala? How are you going to convince her?
I feel like I need to get some more information
Briala is a wild card. You don't necessarily know what she's after at any one given time. So she's with Selene. Is there a bad blood there? I guess maybe I'm trying to understand the relationship. There's extremely bad blood there.
Right, okay. That's why they're not...
She purged the Halam Shorel alienage. She killed thousands of elves.
So why is Briala still traveling with Selene? Like, why hasn't she murdered her?
Power.
Because she's an empress, and because, like, if you depose Selene, the next person on the throne is Gaspard, who's not much better.
No thanks.
Yeah. Convincing Briala is gonna be... Like, also, what does she want? What is she after?
That's my thing. I don't really know what she wants. And I guess we won't know until we show up there.
We can also kind of go back to Kay's original idea, which was to incorporate more elven learning as well, to have it be a repository for their history.
Maybe you could talk her into it like, hey, what if we get an elf to run it? Maybe Lannon could run it.
Oh god, he'd hate it.
Yes! Excellent. Good call, he'd hate it. Oh, he's gonna hate it so much.
Oh god.
Okay, so I guess the question is this. I'm talking to Briala, Elian's talking to Selene.
And that leaves poor Cass.
I guess, Cass, you're talking to
Fergus. No! Taryn Cousland, oh no!
I mean, this summit is only going to last for a couple days, so you are kind of strapped for time. And also, I want to see Cass try to talk to a Ferelden.
Oh my god, that'd be hilarious. Like, I feel so bad for her, but also it'd be hilarious.
I feel like we have a game plan. Do you guys feel we have a game plan?
I think so.
Several hours later, just as the sun is setting over Skyhold, washing the courtyard in red-orange light, what there is of the crowd in Skyhold gathers at the end of the drawbridge to greet the visiting diplomats, who arrive in spectacular fashion. First, of course, is Taryn Cousland, because Ferelden is never late for anything. He arrives with a small entourage, a couple dozen horses, a redheaded woman that you'd guess is his wife, a teenager who you'd think is his son. He comes hopping off the horse, and does anyone want to go and greet him first? Lannon is with you. He's not super excited. Like, he'll do the greeting if you want him to, but again, he hates it here.
No, it's fine. So I think Elian steps forward and executes a bow, and it's not a full-on, like, you are royalty bow, because, like, he's reserving that for the Empress. He is Orlesian. But it is a very respectful bow, and he greets him. Taryn, it is wonderful to meet you. We welcome you to Skyhold.
He slides off his horse and eyes you up and down. He says, I'll be honest, I wasn't expecting that greeting from an Orlesian.
You'll find him a little different.
Are you with the Empress's entourage? I
am not. I'm a neutral party in this.
Well, that explains it then. And he strides right past you.
Okay.
I, like, look after him kind of, like, begrudgingly respectful. Like, okay. That's what I would do.
So here's something that none of you have ever seen before. Taryn Fergus Cousland goes up to Lannon and bends down to kiss his ring. Which it's something that Lannon had gotten used to at being an Inquisitor, but he just got not used to it, and it grates a little bit. And he's like, "It's good to see you, Taryn Cousland," and he says, "An honor, your worship. Where is the bar?" And then Lannon points over to the Herald's Inn. He says, "Much obliged," and then he walks off to go get drunk.
I mouthed, "What the fuck?" at
fantastic.
Lannon just kind of shrugs helplessly at you, like, it's a thing that happens. Remember, people think I'm the Herald of Andraste.
What the fuck?
Not very long after that, a second entourage arrives. This one much grander, with much more gold. You know immediately, Elian. Like, everything about this screams Valoroyo. Like, the horses, they have that decorative armor. Like it's made of solid gold, and gold is not good for armor. So the only possible reason they could be wearing gold armor is for decoration, which is so Orlesian. That's like peak Orlais.
God, you wouldn't be able to take care of it. It would scratch.
Exactly.
I just pat Elian like it's gonna be okay.
Not at the head, but slightly behind the head of the entourage is this woman, Empress Lean, wearing a stately silver mask, as is custom of the Orlesian nobility. With the help of her maid, she hops off of a gleaming white horse, and Lannon bows shallowly. How do the rest of you react?
I mean, I've already described Elian as doing, like, full-on dying swan, elaborate bow.
I follow Lannon because I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so I figure he probably has a better idea.
I feel like I have no idea, like, why are people, they're bowing, okay, and just sort of, like, bend at the waist and, like...
Celine acknowledges your bows with a slight inclination of her head. She pulls off her riding gloves one finger at a time as she surveys Skyhold. And then finally her eyes land on Lannon. She says, "My Lord Herald, it is wonderful to see you again. I am pleased that the circumstances are better than they were last time." Lannon says, "Well, it would have been hard for them to be worse compared to last time. Your Grace was involved in a bloody civil war." She says, "That is true." And she says, she actually bends down as well to kiss Lennon's ring, and Lennon's like, okay. And she says, "I think I will retire to my quarters before the formal meetings begin." And she says, "Do you have a servant who could show me the way?" And he says, "Yeah, there's fucking somewhere. I don't know. I don't really live here anymore, so."
Your Majesty, I could show you if you wish.
She turns her head and looks like she barely notices your presence, but she inclines her head as if to say, "After you."
This way. And I lead her away.
She is flanked by two maids-in-waiting, obviously, and she follows you up the steps. She is the picture of regality. So I'm curious, like, just based on your backstory, I think you probably never would have seen Celine in person.
No.
I don't. You were still in, like, the Duke was relatively close to Celine. Like, their families have always been very close to the Chalon family, but you probably never met her. You probably never saw her in person. She is the picture of what an empress should be. Like, she's tall, she's regal, she holds herself with perfect poise. How is Elian feeling seeing his empress?
You know, there's the part deep down that's fanboying that he's, like, you know, quashing, because professionalism. But also, like, We're here to try to stop a war, and she's one of the major players. Oh dear God, can I really handle this? I think I can handle this. I hope I can handle this. Also, God, she's gorgeous.
She is very pretty. It's true. She does not speak. She just follows you wordlessly. If you want to strike up a conversation, that's on you, buddy.
Oh God. Have you ever been to Skyhold, Your Majesty?
She eyes you. We have not. And so she's using the royal we now. She used I in front of Lannon, and now she's using the royal we in front of you, which is not a great sign. It means she considers you beneath her.
Yeah, no, that's valid. We're pleased to have you here, and I hope that your journey was not too taxing.
She says, "It has been a while since we have traveled and such." And she, looks behind her out the door of the main bailey. Rough conditions.
Oh, I'm very sorry that you had to do that, Majesty. If we could convince any of these Fereldens to meet in Valrayo,
In our experience, it is nearly impossible to convince a Ferelden of anything.
Precisely, Majesty. I hope that we can make your stay more comfortable here.
She does not answer that. When you guide her to the nearest door, she says, "May we know your name?"
Out of character. Shit.
The Empress asked you a question!
Elian Beard, Your Majesty.
Her expression doesn't change. But she does stare at you with a little bit more intensity. And she eventually just inclines her head. She says, "We will summon a servant when we are prepared to begin the negotiations." And then without a word, she lets the servant flanking her open the door and guide her inside. So right behind the Empress's entourage, of course, is a whole fleet of servants and functionaries and just every sort of person. Most of them are elves, of course, because it's Orlais. Most servants in Orlais are elves. And it takes you, you don't even see anyone else. You feel like it's over now. The arrivals, the capital A arrivals are over. And you're like, okay, well, that's it. And then Lannon, nudges you on the shoulder, and he, points off to the side a little bit, near the edge of the gates, where a very particular dark-haired elf, with a smattering of freckles over her face, is pulling a saddle off of a horse. She looks very nondescript.
I turn and whisper under my breath, "Briella?"
He nods at you.
"I suppose I should go introduce myself."
"I suppose you should."
Okay. I go and walk up to her in a non-creepy, non-threatening way. If I were to greet her with in Dalish, is that going to be too much?
She, as a city elf, she probably would not speak Elven.
Okay. I think I'm just going to walk over and just approach from the front and say quietly, "Are you Briella?"
She lifts her head, glances at you briefly, then returns to taking the saddle off. "Who wants to know?"
"Sabray. Of Clan Sabray."
She says, "Interesting naming conventions you Dalish have." She wordlessly yanks the saddle off.
We like to keep people guessing, what can I say?
"Did you need something?" She throws the saddle over one shoulder and carries it off toward the stable.
This is attractive.
Oh God, yeah.
I'm not terribly good at this. I don't really know why they sent me, but here I am.
Funnily enough, I was able to tell you aren't very good at this on my own.
I just sort of roll my eyes at her. Thanks, I appreciate that. Most people say that about me.
Oh my God.
I think we might have some friends in common.
Who sent you?
Who sent me?
You're with someone. Who is it?
I mean, I'm with, the Inquisitor's party.
Ah, so you're with the Inquisitor. All right, what does he want? I hope it's not my allegiance. He had the opportunity to take it back at the ball in Halam Shiral.
I don't think he wants anything. He just kind of wants to be left alone nowadays.
Yes, so he's made abundantly clear. His fellow elves suffer in Halam Shiral. He could have done more to prevent it. And now he just wants to be left alone. How fortuitous he has that option to him.
I'm just sort of staring. This is outside of my realm of expertise. You just see my mouth open and close like a fish a little bit. I don't know anything about that. Look, I'm Dalish. We're really just here for well, we're just trying to find a solution to this whole situation. I just sort of gesture broadly. But I had heard your name at the Arlithven.
She does not say anything.
In particular, I'd heard that you were approached by a community, the Arlithlen. Does that ring any bells?
No,
None.
it does not.
What about the Helithen?
No.
Okay, thank you for your time. I leave.
I love it.
So there's equal parts Orlesians and Fereldens in the Skyhold right now, but unsurprisingly, in the bar, it's all Fereldens. There's no Orlesians in the Herald's Rest Inn tonight.
And in busts an almost 7 foot tall Kunari. Love that image.
Yeah, you do draw a couple stares, just a couple.
I go find the bartender and I'm like, what is even good here? I don't know.
The bartender wordlessly slides you a drink.
I definitely look at it like, all right, I guess I'll try it.
It's okay. I mean, it's Ferelden beer. Fereldens are better at beer than they are at wine, at the very least. But it was better in Minrathis.
Okay. And then I'm gonna look around for Fergus.
Fergus is kind of difficult to pick out. Like, you'd think a Tairn.
Right.
Like, below a king, a Tairn is the most important person in Ferelden. You'd think he'd be easy to pick out, but he's kind of not. Like, you spend a couple minutes just scanning the bar, and eventually you have to go up to the second level and look around the second level, and you do eventually find him. He's got a few courtiers around him. He is drinking. He's like 3 drinks down. He is intent on getting drunk.
That is a great sign. Cass definitely takes one look at that, him capital D drinking, and it's just like, is that how all Fereldens take to politics?
Great opener, Cass. Are all Fereldens drunk miscreants, or is it just you?
Oh god.
Taryn Kuslin looks up, and then he has to keep looking up because you are extremely tall.
Extremely tall, yep.
He kind of staggers a bit, and he says, "Well, I can say for certain I was not expecting to see a Kunari here."
I wasn't expecting to be here, and honestly, I wish I could be as drunk as you right now.
Who are you with?
With? Oh, politically. No one really, but Lannon, the Inquisitor, brought us here.
Says, that's the only answer that makes any sense. Inquisitor would be the only one to keep bedfellows with Kunari.
I don't have any intention of sharing his bed, thanks.
Wow. Not really one to grasp on subtle language, huh? Pull up a chair. Share a drink with me.
I just sort of stare at that, all right, sure, and pull up a chair and sit down with him.
He orders another drink for you. He says, "All right, get it over with."
Get what over with?
You're here for some political reasons. Just get it over with.
There are political reasons, yes, but I don't really care about them, to be honest.
Well, then what are you doing here?
I was hoping that Ferelden beer would be better than what I've been drinking so far. It's alright, I guess.
He says, Ferelden has many virtues. Making liquor is not one of them.
It looks like she's trying to think about which smells better, Kirkwall or Ferelden. It's a hard choice.
He says, you really can just get it over with if you want to.
She sort of takes a sip of the drink and then looks at him and it's just what exactly is it that Fereldens want with this place? I've been telling everyone.
We want to stick it to Orlais.
Right, but it is just a pile of rocks.
No, it's about sticking it to Orlais.
I see.
We want Orlais to not get what they want.
Based on what I've heard, that makes sense.
Honestly, I was in favor of making it a religious spot. I'm as God-fearing as any other Andrastian, but the minute I found out that's what Celine wanted, never mind. Now it's all about keeping them from getting that.
As you can see, I am not exactly Andrastian myself, so can't say I blame you.
Honestly, you're the lucky one. Being Andrastian is exhausting. All this exalting a maker who doesn't even care to listen.
I don't know much about it it's only from observing my friends, but it does sound a little bit pointless.
That's a good word for it. He says, seriously, are you gonna keep buttering me up, or are you gonna get to the point? I'm Ferelden. I don't have a lot of patience for small talk.
Oh good, I'm Canary and I don't either.
Great, so let's get to it. What is it you want?
What I want is for all of this to be over.
He says, alright, and how do you propose to make this end?
Honestly, I would have hoped for something along the lines of compromise, but
Never gonna happen? What's your next plan?
Well, Orlesians seem to think themselves the center of all culture, isn't that correct?
Well, based on my experience with them, yes.
Right, so naturally, they would want some pile of rocks on top of a hill so everyone can look up at them and say, ah, Orlais, how amazing and how great of them.
He takes a sip of his whatever he's drinking. Beer, you think?
Forgive me for saying so, but religion is not something that I give a lot of thought to, and something that is more important to me are history and facts. Those are things that I care about.
He says, you're not very good at this, are you?
I'm not. Thank you for noticing.
This could take less time if you just cut through the bullshit you're attempting to spew at me. Just like bare bones. What are you trying to get me to do?
The thing that I would suggest, the thing that seems that it would make most sense is that rather than this being a religious site, would not a university make more sense? People from all over can study. All people.
He squints at you for a long time and he says, you know, I don't actually care what happens to Skyhold. I mostly just don't want Orlais to get what they want.
Exactly. I also don't really care what happens. As I said, it is just a bunch of rocks, but Orlais would...
If you don't care what happens to it, then why are you suggesting a university?
When we met with King Alistair, he said that this was the problem that he had to solve before he could give us troops to fight the Blight.
He holds up a hand. A blight?
Yes.
The last blight just ended 15 years ago. And
yet, I have seen the Archdemon myself.
Roll persuasion. He doesn't really look like he believes you. He says, you personally saw an Archdemon.
To be honest, I had never seen any Darkspawn before running away from the Qun. But yes.
He seems very doubtful. Because you did, in fairness, you did roll an 8. Like
an 8, right? Exactly.
He's like, you sound very sincere, but like, this is a big claim. And he says, and I suppose you were the only one who saw it?
Oh, no. I was with my friends and family.
He keeps staring at you. He takes a last swig of his beer and he says, tell you what. Let me talk to the other people who saw this Archdemon before the summit starts. Hey friends, Tessa here. If you're desperate to hear the next episode, chances are good that you can by joining our Discord server. We post links to all episodes and pre-release, and you can even chat with us and listen live as we record. Join us by going to bit.ly/cfcdiscord. For more information on the show, character biographies, and links to social media, head to our website, critfail.club or critfailclub.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr. Crit Fail Club does not advertise at all, so if you like what you hear, tell a friend who might also like it, make a post on social media about it, or leave a review on Apple Podcasts. Full episodes are available on our YouTube channel, bit.ly/cfcchannel, or wherever you get your podcasts.